Happy Monday, everybody! You're listening to the Personal Playlist Podcast, fondly referred to as the P3. I'm Noah Daniel.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand.
I am so excited to have Dr. Susan Hopkins here on the Personal Playlist Podcast. A passionate advocate for children, families, schools, and communities, Dr. Hopkins is the executive director of the Merit Center and CEO of the Merit Center's sister company, Self-Reg Global. Over Susan's 2 decades of experience in education, she's worked in roles in the early years, K-12, and post-secondary across contexts, from Italy to the Northwest Territories, including as a classroom teacher, program support teacher, vice principal, district coordinator for inclusion, researcher, curriculum developer, and post-secondary instructor. Susan led the Northwest Territory implementation of the Early Development Instrument in kindergarten, co-authored the 10-year Early Childhood Framework, developed the Northwest Territory Play and Culture-based kindergarten curriculum, and led the Planning, Research, and Evaluation Division for the Department of Education. Susan recently co-authored the Self-Reg Schools Handbook for Educators and developed the online resources for the Principals Edition with Stuart Shanker. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Thank you. I'm really thrilled to be here, Noah. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so happy that you're here. You and I were destined to meet from multiple channels. People had said that I needed to connect with you, and then magically it just kind of happened.
Yeah, and multiple channels is right. I don't think I've ever had anybody with more links personally and professionally. Every time I turned around, I kept hearing about this Noah, this human that I needed to know.
Well, it turned out I really needed to know you too, and not just because of your many accomplishments, but getting to talk to you and getting to really begin to do the work of Self-Reg and understand what you do and its impact on me as a parent and teacher. It's really been transformative. So I'd love to talk a little bit about your work in the last 5 years.
For sure. So about, I guess it's over 5 years now. It's going on 6 years ago. I moved to Ontario. So I'm in Peterborough, just a hop, skip, and a jump from Trent University to run Stuart's organization, which is the Merit Center. And so that's really what I've been doing for the last 5 years, which it started with just me and a part-timer and Stuart, of course, who had been, doing presentations all over the place on Self-Reg, which is the work we do working with teachers and early childhood educators and health folks and parents across the country and beyond. But it started with just me and this one other person, and a lot of really sort of passion, I guess, to get it off the ground and to get it so that we could function and spread the word and have it be more than just Stuart. And we've grown. There's almost 50 of us now doing different roles. We have an online school. We do cool presentations. We have all sorts of online resources. There's a million different things we do. So that's been my last 5.5 years, I guess. And it's been really quite an adventure. I'm actually just so thankful for it every day, because the work allows me to do the things that I've always cared about, be really close to children and families and educators in particular, and feel that kind of closeness, and yet feel my tank filled up every day, being surrounded by all kinds of cool people. Meeting you through this was one of them.
Oh my gosh. And, it was funny because you and I first talked in preparing to come on an On Ed Mentors episode and have a whole bunch of Self-Reg educators and people who were teaching the facilitators courses and some of the other available courses through the Merit Center. And then you and I connected again, and we were so lucky to do some great work for you through the Mentory this summer. And then I was like, I gotta get your P3 on the schedule. So months ago, we made sure to do that because this time is really special for me, and sending people to go on this journey to choose 3 songs can be really challenging, but it's full of beautiful stories. So I'd love to know a little bit about what it was like to prepare for the show and choose a nostalgic identity and pick-me-up song.
Well, it's really interesting because we did first really start working a little bit last summer, and your organization put together a little mini mentoring course for my organization. So we've worked together professionally, and I can't say enough good things about Mentoree. So thank you very much. at the same time, this P3. So I thought nothing of it. You kind of had invited me on, and I liked it. I liked music, and I liked the idea of the sort of the three songs as artifacts of, of a conversation and who you are. And yet it's been 2 weeks straight now that I've been nonstop. I've got them written down, which songs, and crossed off. And I mean, a million different things on the go at the same time. I'm building courses, I'm doing presentations, and I'm like, I had not to devalue what I thought P3 was. But really, it's been a little bit consuming trying to think up and talk to it about my family, with my family about it, which song. So it's actually been really, really fun, and just got me thinking. It's brought up all kinds of nice memories, and trying to, think about which songs would come forward. And so it's been quite a surprisingly engaging, deeply engaging experience.
I'm glad. I mean, I think that that's one of the coolest parts about why I love this in the classroom is superficially it sounds like, well, it's just 3 songs. It's no big deal, but it really is a journey. And I thank you so much for taking it in a wholehearted way, because clearly by your 3 songs, there's a lot of story to tell. So let's begin by going back to that nostalgic song. And how did you land on this song in particular and this version of this song?
Well, this one really links to my daughter as well, but it really reminds me of my mom. So my mom sang around the house my whole life, and I always remembered her singing. You could hear her singing to herself as she, as a little girl, and as a teenager, I remember her doing that. And then she moved here with me at 79, and she passed away at 82. She was here about 2.5 years. And the one song that always comes to mind with that is Amazing Grace. And she used to sing it all the time. She called me her Amazing Grace. And when so I used to hear that all the time. And in fact, it's one of my daughter's middle names is Grace because of that. But I lived in Italy for 4 years. And my mom was quite a character, I guess, really. She's very emotion, a lot of very strong motions, and loving. And she would, despite, and I think I've spoken elsewhere about lots of anxiety and these sorts of things, but she was very loving. And I would call from Italy, and you can imagine the time difference. And I'd call, and I had given her this bell that played Amazing Grace that I have downstairs here at my house. And I'd call, and she'd pick up the phone, and the bell would play Amazing Grace. And I always wondered, like, how many people call your house, and instead of getting a hello, they get this Amazing Grace, And so, I mean, that's a connection to the song. The version of it, I was born in 1968, and I think this version came out in 1972, and I can always remember my mom saying that, she was no Aretha. And this particular version was just one that she would play. We had an old record player in the house, and just, I don't know, it's very special. My daughter used to say, I can remember her saying, you can always tell when grandma's happy because she sings to herself. So yeah, that's the story behind that choice.
It's such an interesting song choice and version choice. I mean, Aretha Franklin, that was the name of a documentary that was made called Amazing Grace, really looking back at that 1972 live album. And, one of the coolest things about listening live, especially to anything spiritual or gospel-y, like you have the people in the room really add to the fervor of the build of the song. And this particular song was in the New Temple Baptist Mission Church in LA. And people were talking about this coming from this service / experience, and talking about the way Aretha Franklin conducted herself as so different than like the traditional Queen of Soul, but this humility and this relationship between her and the higher power. And really, when I listened to it, you had sent me 2 versions, one from Oprah and this original version. And I had to choose the original, even though the Oprah is a great thing to add to the descriptor when I post this. Let's play this version. Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace.
The sound that sings the rest. I'm found was blind, but I see.
It will be unfortunate that I can't play all 16 minutes of that song on the show, but it's certainly worth listening to. How do you feel hearing it now?
Oh, it's so emotional. I don't know if it gets it right in your belly, but I mean, I get a little teary when I hear it. You know, it's loud and I'm focused on it and thinking and remembering back to my mom. She used to crank it. My mom didn't really crank anything, and she would crank it. You know, would like really come out of her. I don't know. It's just, it's such a powerful song. And it moves so slowly, you know, and I don't know. I just think it's so magical. So
Because it draws you in with every breath.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for your loss. It must have been harder that your mom was living with you. Or maybe it was better. I don't know.
Well, it was, you know, I miss her. I think of her a lot, you know, in the holidays, especially, and different memories are coming out now than, you know, she wasn't well for the last 6 months or so. So now, and she was very funny. So that helped because I have a lot of very, very, very funny stories. And, you know, there's nothing that doesn't seem to have a mom story to go along with it. So thanks. It's been a few years now. So I'm, coming to terms, I guess. You know, as much as you ever can.
As much as you ever can. And a piece of her in your daughter, not just in the music, but in her name.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's amazing that was added because I know a little bit about your daughter's story from reading the books.
Yeah. So here, one of her middle names is Hailey, which in fact, there's stories around that. But the other one is Grace, and it was named after my mom, and my mom was a redhead, and Sienna's a redhead too. So they were very close. Actually, that was the biggest gift of having mom come here. For, you know, she was fairly healthy when she came here. You know, it's just lonely, I think, right? 79, and my dad had passed away 7 or 8 years ago, I guess. And so they were just they were incredibly close. I can still hear my mom telling Sienna, she's perfect. You're perfect. And I said, don't tell her she's perfect. It's nobody's perfect. It's not, and you're not even possible. Oh, you're perfect. You know, so they had a very, very special relationship.
That's nice. And having that intimate experience of living with her really probably adds to the depth of all of that.
Yo, absolutely. Absolutely. And it rounded out, you know, an element for Sienna. I think, you know, she had a pretty close relationship with her, but we lived in different provinces. So, you know, visits are not the same as living day to day in the house.
No, they aren't. And they really are identity forming. But
Yeah.
this next song is not about your daughter and not about your mother. This next song is only about you. So you could choose any aspect of your identity, and you chose this song, a powerful artist. What does this song say about you?
Well, and it's going to tell you that I can't think of my identity, I guess, without relationships. But this song, it is a Pink song, so I really like, I'm drawn to. Uh, I love her voice, the strength of her voice and the strength of
Mhm.
her messaging. And I've always loved Pink. There's some other songs that she has that. Well, there I have one that's a favorite that I could have chosen, but it just didn't feel quite right. So I chose this one, honestly, because of the link with my daughter. We I started doing this silly thing with the song What About Us, which is just a really awesome song. That I like songs that make you feel like you have to move. I love to move, and this song did. And I started doing this silly, I mean, we're not on video, or you could see I mimic with my hands at certain parts of it. And all of a sudden, Sienna, who had never really jumped into my weird craziness, we dance, like we dance, and we dance lots. My mom used to get them dance with us sometimes, like a little, you know crazy. In some ways I feel shy or awkward around adults, and with kids, I don't know, sometimes it's just really different. And it just, so anyway, this weird and crazy side of me that loves this song What About Us. And and so it became a bit of an anthem for Sienna and I, because every time it would come on, my poor partner Eric would be driving in the car, and it would come on, and Sienna would look at me and hold out her hand. I'd look at her, and we go with this sort of crazy over dramatic. It's not singing, it's all with your body. What about us? And acting sort of it out. So that's what it reminds me of. And then, the other link is that I went to the Pink concert in Toronto, I guess a year and a half ago in August. And it was the first concert. My daughter was 11 at the time, and it was her and her best friend and her mom, who's a good friend of mine, actually, and connected to you as well in
And
some ways.
I was just
Yes.
thinking about that. Craziness.
Yeah, see, the forget the 6 degrees of separation. It's more like 3 degrees of separation. So Sienna's best friend, whose name is Zoe, and we all went to this Pink concert, and I knew I was going to like it. I like the song Trouble, and I've always liked Pink, and I like this song. I have never been so drawn in. It was like the Aretha song. We just heard like the whole way through, and Pink's flying like over us. It felt like she was 10 feet above us. She winked at the girls, and we didn't even have voices at the end of it. And it was just this amazing experience. So that's kind of why I chose this as an identity song, because it connects to this experience in the relationship, but also the, I have in some ways a bit of a free-spirited side, and I'm happier when I let that side out. And so that kind of reminds me of Pink reminds me of that too. So, yeah.
What an important thing. And the album that it was out on was called Beautiful Trauma. You have stories like that about empowerment and joy and shared experience and relationships. It's an interesting way to reframe turbulence and be able to celebrate the present.
Well, and if I don't want to plug concerts necessarily, but this concert was incredible. And she did this piece where she talked about, in terms of identity, where she talked about her daughter coming home and being teased for the way she looked or something about her, and how she responded was incredible and empowering, and not just all critical of different viewpoints, but it was she did it in a number of ways that she really explored. And I love her message, especially to young girls. My daughter's wall is covered with Pink pictures, and I think that's terrific, because I love the message that she really sends out about, connecting with you or who you are, and whatever you are is beautiful, and you believe it the way she brings it to life. But I also just think she's a fantastic singer, and her music moves me.
Yeah, she is. Okay, well, what about us, Pink?
in the dark. We are rockets pointed up at the stars. We are billions of beautiful hearts. And you sold us down the river too far. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disaster? What about love? What about trust? What about us? We are problems that want to be solved. We are children that need to be loved. We were willing.
When you talked about concerts, I'm missing concerts and all of the things that come with that. And there are other problems to be solved, and these are strange times. And in so many ways, the work that you do is self-work as much as it is work about others in our context of our work, and really creating opportunity to use tools, see things in new ways, and be able to look at each of the domains and how they're affecting a scenario and change the zone. And that's really what this last song is for. And so there's lots of different descriptors, but I'll let you tell the story of why you chose this last song and what role it plays for you.
Yeah, and so I love that you link it sort of to I guess my work and the way we go about self-write, because most people come to learn it for they're trying to work with their children or students or families. Usually, I mean, sometimes it's even seniors, as I've shared, but it's usually come at it thinking for others. And once you begin to learn some of the science in particular, but putting it all together, it sort of changes how your inside experience and how your relationships and how you interact in the world. So when I think of music, that's sort of a big thing for me, right? What really lifts me up, makes me feel good inside. And so this last song is an interesting one because honestly, my choice is a very light choice in this. And I say that in the sense of I chose a song that actually I love right now. Okay. And so it's not, I could have chosen some of the, I love Tom Petty and Rolling Stone. There's songs that I could have chosen that sort of are across my lifespan. But and then I also looked at songs and I thought, well, I love that song, but if you think about the words, so that's one thing I realized doing this activity, Noah, was that it's the music in particular that really lifts me up. The music that draws me in, and the words matter, but not for a lift me up kind of song. So I chose a Tenille Townes song because when I kind of considered all the different ones, I couldn't find the right fit, and I just decided, well, what do I love, and it kind of is really uplifting right now. And it's Tenille Townes. She's Canadian. She's a young up and coming country singer that's that's got just a terrific, that sort of raspy voice that I like, but is also a terrific a songwriter. And she it's about coming as you are, and again, it kind of has a message that I really like. It reminds me a bit of the message that Pink uses as well. But to me, it was just really kind of a nice choice. It makes you feel good. It's a good time for us to be thinking about connecting. I really believe in this idea of who you are, whatever that means to you is who's welcome in my world, and who I'm thinking of young girls in particular. I'm an almost teenage daughter, and I really want her to be confident in who she is. And I am, like, for me, I'm just sort of sit back and wait to kind of figure that out, right? That's her journey, and me to sort of be around her with, and that kind of nice messaging That's very different from what I experienced as a young girl. So I don't know. It was an uplifting song. It was also, I like the idea of a young female songwriter. I like the idea of sharing that I like country, which maybe is not, I'm quite eclectic in all of those sorts of things, but country seems to be one of the ones I go to lately to sort of get a little bit lifted up, and that's why I chose it. It chose me.
It chose you, this song right now. Come As You Are by Tennille Townes.
Everybody's always overthinking whatever everybody else is thinking. But if we just stop for a minute, it's the same boat. We're all in it. Just bring yourself, just let the rest all go. Oh, oh, life is a party on a rooftop. So just go ahead and let your heart stop. All you gotta do is bring what you got. 'Cause this elevator only goes up. Oh, nobody's gonna care. It don't matter what you wear. 'Cause we're making it up as we go. Just dancing in the dark. So come as you are. Yeah, come as you are. Oh, come as you are. Yeah, come as you are. You could be the guy with the shades on in the corner. Or you could be the girl with the brand new broken heart. Yeah, you could be the cool one, the shy one, the quiet or the crazy kind of wild one. Well, just bring yourself, let the rest all go. Yeah, life is a party on a rooftop, so just go ahead and let your heart stop. All you gotta do is bring what you got. 'Cause this elevator only goes up. Oh, nobody's gonna care. It don't matter what you wear. 'Cause we're making it up as we go. Just dancing in the dark. So come as you are. Yeah, come as you are. Oh, come as you are. Yeah, come as you
You have come as you are, and you've shared 3 songs by 3 powerful women, and I see the parallel in you. You are a person of force who has incredible messages and is worth listening to all the time. So where can people find you, Susan?
What a lovely thing to say. Thank you. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Susan Hopkins 5. You can find us on our website, which is self-reg.ca, and all my information is in there. Reach out if you're interested. We also have Self-Reg Global, selfregglobal.com, I believe it. But follow us on social media. I host a Twitter chat once a month, every second Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. We have one next week, and we've done like 60 or 61 episodes so far. So next week we're looking at family literacy. So sometimes we pick more timely topics, other times we pick themes, and so you can join us there as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. How do you feel about sharing your 3 songs with me?
Well, it's interesting as I feel like I shared the right songs for today. You know, it's interesting to think about, if I shared 6 months from now, the songs would be very different, I think, but it was kind of nice telling some of those stories. I like telling the stories about my mom and my daughter. And but I do a lot of presenting and talking. It's very different opening up to someone else, what your music choices might be. So it's been interesting and fun. It's been interesting and fun.
I will take interesting and fun as the legacy for the P3 experience. Is there anything you want to add before I play you out?
No, I just want to say thank you for the work that you do. I actually really want to say thank you for this episode and the approach that you take. It's so nice. I've listened to a few now, and it's so nice to get to know different sides of people, and what a fun way and a lovely and an engaging way to learn a little bit more about others. So thank you very much, Noah.
Thanks, Susan. Have a great day.
Okay, take care.
Thank you for joining us on the P3. the Personal Playlist Podcast. I'm Noah Daniel. This is Voice Ed Radio, and I hope you have a fantastic day.